Progressive overload is probably one of the most repeated piece of advice in the entire gym. And for a lot of you guys, I genuinely think it's making things worse. Now that might sound mental at first, right? Because everyone agrees if you're not seeing progressive overload, you're not actually growing, you're not making progress. But the thing people forget to really mention is progressive overload isn't something you do. It's something that happens when you do everything else right, when we actually see the adaptation and then boom. And if you're there, sat chasing the number on a bar or dumbbells or a weight stack or whatever, instead of the thing that actually grows muscle, you don't end up progressing, you end up just continuing the ego as we go. So I think everyone really gets told the same thing, and even in the sort of niche era where we're looking at science and everything, they get told add weight, add reps every session, progressive overload, bro. And that's the whole game. So you start chasing the number, you slap on, a kilo here, a kilo there, but it's before you've earned it, right? You're grinding reps and you're kind of arching your back like crazy, your hips are going all weird, and you're doing this to get further, right? You're letting your rib cage come up or whatever. Either doing this, you stall out, you get frustrated, or you genuinely do progress on paper, but the muscle itself, the exercise, potentially is doing less than it was in the past. Now, the thing people need to understand is overload, right? Progression is not the growth. A lot of people are still hung up on this, and even those who know that it's not the cause are still a bit hung up on it. Now it is, however, it is a receipt, right? So you're not purchasing, you're getting a receipt. It kind of confirms something's happened. Now, we all know the thing that grows muscle is mechanical tension. Getting close to failure, the body leads to some cascading effects, adaptation occurs. You adapt stronger, you lift more, and that extra weight is proof that the adaptations actually happen. Of course, other things could be confounding there. It's not always a muscle increase, but most of the time it really is. But when you're forcing that number early, you're not really getting there faster. You're risking yourself a bit more, right? You're borrowing a sort of dopamine feel-good feeling. You're cutting a range, you're increasing momentum, you're shifting tension into joints, into other muscles. You're increasing a number and you're not actually getting the right stimulus. So the only real way to do this is by really, really humbling yourself, right? You're staying at a load, or you're increasing the load but staying at the reps. You're continuing to keep the range of motion. You're making sure the control is the exact same. You're getting close to failure. You are pushing yourself, but you're not going to some weird realm where you're not actually doing the exercise anymore. Doing that, you're actually going to grow a lot better than forcing the weight increase. A quick thing before I continue giving you a bit of a fix here, a bit of steps you can follow. If this sort of stuff is the stuff you want, take a look at my newsletter. I don't talk about all the breakdowns and all the fancy stuff on here on YouTube, but poolfitness.com, link should be in the description. I'd rather you read that sort of stuff than actually subscribe here. It's completely free, and I end up teaching things that actually change the training, the actual fix. But on to what I think you should start doing here. The first is you've got to actually sort of chase the tension. I know people talk about tension, it's a bit of an arbitrary thing, but you've got to chase that instead of the number. The number is great, and when you dial all these things in, you can look at that and it can really tell you things. But keep a consistent range, work out what that's going to be, memorize it. If there's any way to use external cues to keep it. So for instance, you might be going to a dead stop on a machine, you might have a tape measurer that you hit on the way up, whatever it ends up being. Find a way to keep that as controlled as possible and consistent as possible, and then get yourself really, really, really close to failure. The reps will start increasing on their own, the weight will start increasing on their own. Just make sure you're actually earning that load. So you shouldn't be adding weight whenever you feel like it. Focus on getting to an upper threshold when it comes to your reps. Maybe you're going up to 6, maybe you're going up to 8, and then you add weight. If the reps aren't clean, you're definitely not jumping up. And you can tell yourself, maybe make a note in your workout that it didn't actually count. Maybe you can tell yourself, wow, I got 8 reps, but you log it as 7 because you know that 8th one wasn't actually good enough. Because when it comes to all this, right, we need to do our absolute best to think in the months. The second we start thinking about sessions, we lose complete control over our actual journey. The session is purely how dialed in am I, how much am I pushing yourself, but the actual progress is what comes in the months. There's a lot of times where you're going weeks without progressing, completely fine, but then it hits you, and when it hits you good. Sometimes it could be back to back to back progress, well, actual progression overload. It might not be. Oftentimes it is in little bursts, I find though. But when it comes to this, if you're adding weight and it's costing you control, it's costing you rain, it's making you do some weird stuff, it's not real. Just go back down to where you were before, stay humble, and keep going. But yeah, if you got anything out of this, best thing you can do, get on that newsletter, poolfitness.com. Subscribing here too obviously helps, but I genuinely rather you're over there learning some of the deeper stuff, not being as short form with your reading and kind of locking in, focusing and reading. But that is progressive overload. So stop yourself from chasing a number, chase the actual tension, target the muscle. Number will take care of itself. Thank you for watching. I've enjoyed talking at you for a little bit. I hope you've enjoyed me talking to you, and I hope I will see you around.